to our second session from Ian Thomas from Welcome to Our Woods. Now, this is a non-profit organisation in the Rhondda Valley, and the theme of Ian's talk is going to be putting the community in the driving seat, looking at connecting the community and people with the outdoors and forging a new way of being able to actually not just respond to climate emergency, but empowering communities as we're doing it. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Ian Thomas from Welcome to Our Woods.
Thank you, Delith. Thank you, Delith. Thank you, Liz and the team for allowing us to come and talk about the project today. How's everybody doing? Thank you. Can everybody see my screen? Can you see that, Delith?
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it.
Press play. There we go. Brilliant. Putting community in the driving seat. This is where we are. So we're based we're Welcome to Our Woods, and we're based at the top of the Rhondda Valley in Treherbert. And I love to show this picture because I think lots of people that haven't visited the valley or haven't seen photographs of the valley for a few decades probably think of it as an old ex-mining community. Well, today there's not much left of remnants of the mining community, and what we do have is a beautiful regenerating landscape that can do a lot for our community. And I think all too often when things are difficult, and particularly during COVID, we've retreated back into our houses at the bottom of the valley here. And I think what Welcome to Our Woods is trying to achieve is to support people and help people understand that they can have a bigger impact and they have a bigger involvement than just in their homes. They can have an impact in the landscape that surrounds their town. And that's what we kind of hope to achieve. But I always like to show this photograph so people can see what we're actually talking about. This is who we are. And, as you would expect, we've got the statutory sector, NHS and the police and the fire service involved in it. We've also got a lot of art people from the art industry and people and organisations that engage with communities through art and culture. And I think this is and I'll discuss this further, but it's a really important theme of Welcome to Our Woods. What's not represented in this image is these individuals, the community members that come and actually do the work and help govern this programme. They're not represented in here, but it's very difficult to represent on a slide. We predominantly work in two woodlands over the past 10 years, Pen Peak and Cynefin, two different relationships with these woodlands, and we manage them in different ways. Pen Peak, very much a conifer plantation woodland, and Cynefin, lots of broadleaf woodland in there. And one of the guys at the bottom of the screen there, cutting a stump, and then the next pictures, the next spring, that regeneration, the carbon capture taking place on that tree stump. We built a microhydro, and we've commissioned that in 2018, and it's all built on public land. I should say that everything that we do is on the public estate and Welsh Government public estate. And this was a really great project. It took 9 years to discuss and get all the permissions, and then it took 3 months to build. But last year, I think it generated over 100,000 kilowatts of energy that at the moment we're putting into the grid, but we hope to put a private wire to one of our sites that are just 65 meters away from the turbine house. We're a community woodland group, really at heart, but really we're not really about woodlands. We're about people, and we're about people and the culture of Treherbert and the Upper Rhondda. And we do things like outdoor activities, volunteering. We do lots of arts and events in the woods. This year we done a breakdancing competition in the woods. We think it's probably unique in the world. It was all run off of hydropower, so it ran off of the hydroelectric, and we built a stage from sustainable material in the woods. And we had people come from across all of Europe to dance in a competition in the woodlands. And just to give you an example of kind of the kinds of things that might go on in the woodlands that you perhaps wouldn't expect. We're also about creating new types of spaces for local people to use, but also for visitors. And we're really interested in green tourism. We've got ways that people can get involved every week. So we run an activity calendar around the idea of social prescribing. People and JPs can put people forward to come and get involved in these activities. Sometimes they're just like litter picks or walking groups. And this is a way for people to get involved in what we do, meet other people and socialise. There's always a social aspect to everything that we do. Every gathering that comes together, we try to eat together, or we try to drink, or we try to do an activity with each other. And if you went on any of these walking groups, the chatter on the way round is quite amazing. People don't stop talking to each other. They get fitter and fitter, and they keep me talking. I'm out of puff by the time we've sort of got around. But there's always a real social element to everything that Welcome to Our Woods do. We've got Pay As You Feel Cafe, we've got community gardens, we're developing market gardens in the community as well, which I'll talk about in a second. We've got a hub which we feel is really important on the high street. And for many years when we started out, we were up on the hillside, and I think some of the community members didn't know we existed. Perhaps people were less able to be able to get onto the hillside, weren't quite sure what we were doing there. So in 2018, when we bought at auction, we bought the old library building in High Street. It was quite a revelation to us. Suddenly, a load more people that we perhaps hadn't had contact with came in, and we use it for community feasts. We do training sessions in there, community meetings where we plan what we're going to be doing in the landscape. And it's really helped us to get more and more people involved in what we're doing. One of the last sort of projects I'm going to talk about is this, and it's an old fueling station that was knocked down in the 90s. In 2018, we got a lease from our local housing association that own the land, and we're turning it into, and it'll be ready in a couple of weeks, we're turning it into a growing area, and we'll be growing some trees and some plug plants that will go out into local allotments, and maybe some other stuff we'll be growing in. So what we've got is a welfare classroom unit, a polytunnel will be put up on the site, and we've dropped in, and we've just had this commissioned, a controlled environment agriculture, a freight farm where we can grow all year round hydroponic and aeroponic types growing systems. This is an artist's impression, but it's almost looking like this now. Apart from these trees in the foreground, it pretty much looks like this today. We've got the welfare unit, and the growing projects are all, and they'll be switched on in a couple of weeks' time. So we're really excited about that. What's next for us over the next 18 months, and kind of starting to put this into some kind of context around people's physical and mental health, is Rhondda Skyline. And what this is really about is working with the Forestry Commission, Natural Resources in Wales, to co-manage 600 hectares of the landscape. And we feel this is going to be, so people will take stewardship and some ownership over the landscape that surrounds their town. And we kind of think that this is a great process that people would, a co-design process with Natural Resources Wales, where people can have an influence and a bigger impact in the landscape that surrounds their town. What that actually means as well is that we'll be doing lots more forest management, and that carbon that's growing on the hillside can be used in the community for buildings, for things that we use in our kitchen, and for furniture, and things that will be around for decades and generations that we can pass down. And we hope as well that the landscape will begin to influence the architecture in the town, and we'll move from being an ex-mining community to also being a forest town and linked to our landscape. And that's one of our ambitions in Welcome to Our Woods. So to put this all into some kind of context that we can sort of discuss around, there's this wonderful word in the Welsh language, Cynefin, and it kind of sums up to me what we're trying to achieve, and it's got this additional use or meaning, and it can be used to describe the elements of our situation and our personal history that influences our thoughts and decisions in a way that perhaps you guys might understand a little bit better than me, but we don't need to understand it. We have witnessed over the last decade that involving people in their landscape and allowing them to have an impact and have more influence over the wider surroundings gives them a greater sense of place where they live, but also gives them a context in global issues such as climate change, and gives them a bit of skin in the game. Gives them an opportunity to undertake projects like hydroelectric, or undertake better management for carbon capture, for skills and jobs and things like that. But also it kind of creates that better sense of your position in the world. So that's kind of it for me. I'm happy to sort of take some questions, really, Delith. I kind of rattled through a lot there. The project itself is all about empowering local people to take action that they want to do in their landscape. what we have seen when you put challenges around climate change, around biodiversity loss, around jobs and skills, what we find is when you have a discussion with community members, they can make decisions that compromise on all of these factors. And we found that the people that get involved in the project feel very empowered. It assists their physical mental health, and I'm happy to take any kind of questions on it, Dalith.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Ian. And actually, that sense that you were just ending with there in terms of empowering people and connecting people with the landscape through this concept of Cynefin, I think that's so powerful. We do have a question for you from Kate Defton. Now, she's asking, she's I think is drawing a link between the previous session from Gemma and Alka and also yours. So she's saying, as we work online, one issue is embodied relational connection. And she's asking, is there an opportunity for linked nature connection work and green prescribing for patients and staff? Now, I noticed, Ian, that you were talking about GP prescribing some of this. Could you talk, I know we've only got a couple of minutes, but could you respond to Kate in terms of how powerful that is and in terms of connecting the woods and technology in that way?
Yeah, really interesting question. So yeah, COVID has kind of brought a lot of this home, hasn't it? So one of the things that blows me away is woodland therapy, and we work with lots and lots of people. We work with people that GPs, and we've worked with people that work in the hospital. NHS staff have come out and worked with us throughout COVID, and we've given back to them guys. They've been really busy, so we've given back to them. Some of the most profound work we do is cups of tea in the woods. It's quite remarkable. People come into the woodland therapy session that are in crisis. They're absolutely in crisis, and a cup of tea in the woods, and meeting, and maybe some mindfulness sessions, and maybe even just spending some time with some people in nature. I think we all understand how powerful that is, but actually, I think perhaps what we don't understand is that there's some serious barriers in the way. So it's sometimes about experience and about giving people some very minor skills so they can go out into the outdoors, feel comfortable and enjoy what they're doing. But it's also about giving yourself permission to go and do it. And sometimes people feel awkward if they haven't got a dog. Going for a walk in the woods might look a little bit odd, but it's about that social norms and about us and about us sort of on connecting people with woodlands and green spaces. We long for this, right? And I think for generations we've pushed back on that, and we've been a very consumer society led by kind of our jobs and our cars and holidays and things like that. But actually, once it doesn't take long for that connection to sort of reconnect, really. So I'm always blown away by the individual stories within Welcome to Our Woods. It's that people do it for themselves. All we're actually doing is facilitating people to go into the woods. People have to make that journey themselves. But yeah, we've got some videos, testimonials on our YouTube website, and there are individuals, and sometimes these are the things that really kind of blow me away.
That's wonderful. And Doctor, right, let me say, Doctor, forgive me, your name has now just disappeared as I've opened the chat function, but has just put up, is it Doctor? I'm not sure how to pronounce your surname, I'm afraid. Is it Kenyer? Right. Forgive me for mispronouncing your name, but he or she has said, Cynefin promotes ownership, accountability, responsibility, connections, inclusion, giving, and taking. And they said, well done, you, good for mental, emotional, physical well-being. Thank you so much for that comment, and forgive me for mispronouncing your surname there. Ian, you've put your contact details up on the screen. I'm sure there will be many people who will be wanting to get in touch with you, because part of the aim of the conference isn't just empowering delegates today, but also making these connections. So thank you so much